Let us pray. Almighty God, the creator and ruler of heaven and earth, we beseech thee to inspire and guide all our actions so that we may always walk in the path of justice, love, and charity to one another. Help us with thy grace to do only those things that will promote the unity, peace, happiness, and prosperity of Nigeria in general, and Lagos State in particular. Amen. Welcome to today's sittings. Let us go through the votes and proceedings of Monday, 16 March 2020. Page 105, 106, 107. Honorable Togbo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think yesterday, we said after the investigation that perpetrators should be prosecuted in the law court. So I did not see that one coming out under the resolutions.
And I think we've also removed NNPC. Yeah, Honorable.
Thank you, sir. We remove NNPC, but when you look at this recommendation, it is not to NNPC directly that DPR or anyone saddled with the responsibility of pipeline laying, especially for gas. Because the NNPC we talked about was taking them to court. It has to do with taking them to court. And you said it's not about taking them to court, but whosoever is responsible for the laying of gas pipeline should be saddled with the responsibility of protecting them. I think that's what we said.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, still on the same ambit of the matters of under public importance, the announcer or the mover of that motion actually announced to us that there were losses of lives and properties. Lives were lost. She even mentioned names of some people who died, and it's not captured here that people who died.
Those one cannot be captured. We just need the fact of the resolved. That is what is important here. The full story will be in the answer, but the way what we resolved on is my concern here. It was raised that they should be prosecuted, and that was when I came in that agency responsible for gas and also. So that was when PPR was mentioned and not NNPC. Mr. Clark, kindly do the needful and adjust this. Page 106, 107. I have examined the votes and proceedings of Monday, 16 March 2020, and approval is granted. Any message from the governor?
Right, Honorable Speaker, distinguished honorable members, there is no message from Mr. Governor.
Any other announcements?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to announce that there will be a meeting of the House Committee on Tourism, Arts and Culture on Wednesday, 18th March 2020. Venue is the 4th floor, Honorable Members Wing, Assembly Complex. Time 10 a.m. Theme, resolution of the House on the poor outcome of the year 2019 Greater Lagos Fiesta. Signed, Honorable Shola Jasaka N, Chairman, House Committee, Tourism, Arts and Culture. That's all, sir.
Petition?
None, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Matter of urgent public importance? None. Personal explanation? No. Reports? No. Deputy Majority Leader, business of the day.
Right Honorable Speaker, fellow colleagues. Business of the day. Out of Assembly motion number 16, supported by Honorable Adams MB, Honorable Mrs. Miranda ML, Honorable Mrs. Shongodara MR, Honorable Elliot DO, Honorable Olowo RE, Honorable Layode IO, Engineer Yisha GOR, Honorable Ogundimu O, Honorable Yusuf AA, Honorable Brahmo T, Honorable Rauf OA, Honorable Adewale TA, Honorable Afini OS, Honorable Olabi AO, Honorable Olawale. That's the initial, sir.
He just called the first name and the constituency.
Sir. Okay, sir. Noted, sir. Honorable Olawale, Honorable Akonde, Honorable Idimogu. The motion is need to establish online information management system in government agencies in Lagos State. Honorable Desmond Elord is the prime mover. With your kind permission, sir, probably may I invite Honorable Desmond to move his motion, sir.
Honorable Desmond.
Good afternoon, Right Honorable Speaker. Good afternoon, honorable colleagues. The motion is on the need to establish online information management system in government agencies in Lagos State. This House notes the effort of the state government at ensuring the records are properly documented and kept in government establishments. This House further notes the importance of adequate record keeping and maintenance for comprehensive documentation, avoidance of duplication and tracking of information. This House also notes that Section 2, Subsection 2 to Subsection 6 of the Records and Archives Law 2015, Cap R1, Laws of Lagos State, provides that the Records and Archives Bureau will, Subsection 2, establish standards and advise on the best practices on records and archives management in the state. Subsection 3, establish and implement procedures for the control and management of public records of enduring value. Subsection 4, establish and implement procedures for the transfer of public records of enduring value for preservation and management in the state archives or such archival repository as may be established under this law. Subsection 5, undertake research and disseminate knowledge on the preservation and management of public, private, and historical records. Subsection 6, preserve, manage, and make available for consultation public records selected for preservation or kept in its study and care at the state archives or any other archival repository under the control of the Director General. This House is worried about the manner in which records are kept in government agencies and institutions, as manual records keeping systems are still largely relied on. which slow down processes and activities of these agencies. This House is concerned that records become more difficult to access over time and can be accidentally lost or destroyed by fire, incidents, water incidents, transfer from one place to another, etc., with no means of retrieval or backup. This House is aware that the establishment of an online information management system would preserve records permanently and make them easily accessible to government officials and the general public when the need arises. This House resolves to call on Mr. Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu, the Governor of Lagos State, to direct, one, the commissioners of all the ministries to put in place measures for the establishment of an online information management system in their various ministries, departments, and agencies. And two, direct the Director General of the Records and Archives Bureau to sensitize all government agencies on the need and importance of having an online information management system. I so move.
Honorable Nureni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon, colleague. I rise to second the motion as moved.
All in favor say ayes. Those against the ayes have it. Honorable.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My colleague, good afternoon. Mr. Speaker, this is a straightforward motion. I have to thank Honorable Desmond for this motion. In the modern world, you can see that the modern way of keeping information is when you keep information online. We were talking about preferring yesterday that had it been have such in place, nobody can just enter any file and be stealing information. It allows for ease of retrieval, storage, transfer, and other things. It is cheap. It is clean. So, Mr. Speaker, my colleague, I want to say that this is a very good motion that requires our support because it is good for the modern world and better way of keeping information. Thank you.
Honorable Afini.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon, colleagues. Yes, like Honorable Lu said, this is a very straightforward motion, and I would like to support the motion because we need to deploy the use of technology in keeping information. What we need to do, because number one, what technology can do for us in keeping information, in keeping data, is that it makes it very accurate and easy access, and it makes it very secure, not just anybody can come in and get the information. It also helps you with the consistency of the data, and it makes it very reliable, and we can easily update information as and when it is needed. So I am fully in support of this. However, the information that they have already now that it's the manual way on paper, what they can deploy is using EDMS, electronic document management systems, so that they can maybe scan everything and retrieve it and everything can be marked up. So I will also, however, I think they need experts to do all this. So I think the Ministry of Science and Technology needs to be called on this also. Because LSHA, that's Lagos State Records and Archives Bureau, is an agency under the Ministry of Information. However, the expertise needed, I think, will be domiciled in the Ministry of Science and Technology, so they can deploy maybe 2 of their staff each to all the MDAs to help with this. But if they don't have the sufficient manpower, they can maybe do it in batches in the MDAs. So I think maybe we should add that to the prayers. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Tunde Bravo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At a time like this, when it is very easy for people to sit down in the comfort of their rooms or offices or even cars and access information existing all over the world, it is very anachronistic, very retrogressive and obsolete for us to rely on papers, and we need to dematerialize hard copy informations when we can have soft copies of them. Mr. Speaker, this is already affecting our economy and our security. Our economy in the sense that people cannot even know what we stand for in Lagos or what we are all about in Lagos. Somebody may be anywhere in the world and cannot have information real time on what obtains in Lagos. And in terms of security, people are not adequately informed about what Lagos state government is all about. So people are misled, they are brainwashed, and these are breeding places of insurgencies and violent crimes like Boko Haram, a lot of them, when people lack knowledge and information about the functionalities of a government. So we need to address all these issues and ensure that people have adequate access to information. And that is why I cannot thank the prime mover of the motion enough for his thoughtfulness in coming up with the motion. And I support it totally. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. I want to thank Honorable Desmond Elliott for bringing this up. I think what he's saying mainly here is that the back end of data must be properly kept. There's a front end, there's a back end. The front end is what everybody sees, just like what Honorable Yama is talking about, people accessing data, information, accessing government online. But it's very key that the back end is well maintained. File management system is so easy. It doesn't stop our paperwork. You can do paperwork where there is need. We will get to a point that everything can be done online. But even when they have files, CFO, which is even electronic already, all those things, they can be scanned, which is the document management that Honorable Afini was talking about, and stored nicely. We've had incidents that when files are physically available, people even steal files. But when it's electronically locked up, that file will remain there forever. That's archiving. Obviously, they will need to back up that center as well. So I want to support this motion totally, and I hope everybody gives it the same support. Thank you.
Honorable Kinde Joseph.
Thank you, the right Honorable Speaker, sir. I also want to lend my support to that motion. I want to thank the Prime Mover because it is timely. Like what the fellow speakers have said, even if you go to some of our ministries now, it's going to create more space. When you see how they are arranging the files, it's highly embarrassing. With all these things now, it's going to assist, and even whenever you need any information, it gives you easy access to have it. Then what I want to add to it, like was being said by Honorable Afini, I know in the Ministry of Science and Technology, they have lots of professionals that have lots of things to do in respect of information management system. Probably, if it is possible, they should try and allow those people in that ministry to, they should allow them to go to other various MDAs to at least to sensitize them and give them supportive hands so that every one of them will have the knowledge if the motion is moved. Thanks, sir.
Well, as rightly put by Honorable Lowe, that is a very straight motion. We can say that we started repeating what's been previously mentioned. So we should just take it where we are now. And I think there is need adjustment to the resolves. Looking at the position of Honorable Afini, saying that, what do you call that, your ministry? Science and Tech. So I think we should just call on the governor to direct Ministry of Science and Tech, and in conjunction with the archive, to work together and perfect this system, instead of calling on each MDAs to start doing something. We should give it to the ministry that is responsible for this, so they can just do what is right. Is that taken? And we now have your prayer.
Sir, what about the second one, the number 2 of the resolve?
Which one? The okay, general program well, it's not director general Ministry of Information is the one in charge.
This House resolves.
Oh, hold on, and I don't think the MDAs need to be, you know, to be orientated with need for this information. So it's just we can drop that leg. We can drop that leg. All we need is to call on Science and Tech and Archive to do the needful through the governor. Go ahead.
This House.
Is it taken now?
Yes, sir.
So instead of 2 legs, we only have 1 leg.
One, yes, sir. This House resolves to call on Mr. Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu, the Governor of Lagos State, to direct the Commissioner for Science and Technology, in conjunction with the Records and Archives Bureau, to put all measures in place so as to get the right digital management of information in the state. I so move.
Honorable Councilman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support the motion as moved.
All in favor say ayes. Those against nay, the ayes have it. Thank you. Mr. Clerk, kindly direct the result to Mr. Governor. The presentation of reports, Deputy Majority Leader.
Right, Honorable Speaker, distinguished colleagues. Second on the other paper is presentation of report. Petition titled Request for the Appointment of Traditional Medicine Practitioners as the Chairman, Lagos State Traditional Medicine Board by Honorable Sokunle, Oshodi, Isolo. 1. Chairman, Committee on Health Services. To take this presentation, Mr. Speaker, sir, with your kind approval, may I move that this House resolves to Committee of the Whole? I so move.
Honorable Tijani, put off your light, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to second the motion as moved.
All in favor say ayes. Those against nay, the ayes have it. Honorable Sokunle.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker. Fellow colleagues, report of Committee on Health Service on a petition titled Request for the Appointment of Traditional Medicine Practitioner as the Chairman, Lagos State Traditional Medicine Board. Introduction. Further to the committal of the aforementioned petition to the Committee on Health Service by the leadership of the House to investigate the issue raised in the petition and to report its findings to the House for consideration. The committee swung into action by inviting the officials of the Ministry of Health to present its position on the request proposed by member of Traditional Medicine Practitioner Lagos State Chapter to a meeting on Tuesday, 11 June 2019 at the Assembly Complex, Alausa, Ikeja. Members of the committee, Honorable Sokunle, the Chairman, Honorable Layode, Honorable Idimogun, Honorable Mrs. Shogodara, Honorable Olua, Honorable Adams, Mr. Omotayo, the Secretary, Mrs. Anifo, Assistant Secretary, Mr. Ogbe, Assistant Secretary, Ms. Junaid, Assistant Secretary, Mr. Tuashi, Legal Counsel, Mrs. Anifo, C, Information Officer. Attendance, Dr. Mrs. Titilayo, Gonkaus, Permanent Secretary, Chief Dr. W.B. Oshodi, the Chairman, Association of Traditional Medicine Practitioner Lagos State Chapter, Chief Dr. A.O.T. Agbogunleri, Secretary, Association of Traditional Medicine Practitioner Lagos State Chapter, Chief Dr. Awoyemi Alabi, Auditor, Association of Traditional Practitioner, Lagos State Chapter, Chief Dr. Jubril Olomowewe, Member, Association of Traditional Medicine Practitioner, Lagos State Chapter, Chief Dr. Babatunde Odu Fuwa, Member, Association of Traditional Medicine Practitioner, Lagos State Chapter. Terms of reference. The terms of reference of the committee was to urgently investigate the issue raised in the petition with a view to providing lasting solution on the matter. Honorable Sokunle, the Chairman, Committee on Health Service, gave a background of what informed the meeting and all the party to the petition to cooperate with the committee, providing necessary information that will assist the committee in its deliberation while assuring that the committee will be fair and just to all and sundry. Submission, Chief Dr. W.B. Oshodi, Chairman, Association of Traditional Medicine Practitioner, Lagos State Chapter. I appreciate the Lagos State government for the establishment of the Traditional Medicine Board to regulate the code of conduct and practices of all traditional medicine practitioners in Lagos State by the past administration of Alhaji Lateef Jakonde in 1980 by law. It stated further that the original plan for the establishment of the board by law has not attained its purpose because the past appointment of the chairman of the board were not in line with the provision of the law, except the appointment of late Chief Dr. Arolambo Joseph, who was a core traditional medicine practitioner, who was appointed by the then governor to serve as the chairman of the board. He informed further that since Chief Dr. Arolambo left the office, the appointment has been shifted to the orthodox medical practitioner, which does not promote the intended course and value of traditional medicine practice. He also informed the meeting that the association have the university graduate and qualified traditional medicine practitioner who can be appointed as the chairman of the board without any disappointment, which will in turn enhance the performance of members of the association and overall improvement in the health care delivery system in the state, and therefore crave the indulgence of the House to urgently help the association to work out the modality to return the affair of the Traditional Medicine Board to its original plan. Dr. Mrs. Titilayo, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health, informed the committee that the Traditional Medicine Board was created to regulate the practice of traditional medicine by establishing institutional framework, policies, and promoting development through research. She also submitted that the main problem besetting the traditional medicine and limiting its development in Lagos State is as a result of little or no research work, lack of standardization, efficacy, and quality control. That the recent Health Reform Law 2006 has stipulated that the chairman of the board must be a university graduate registered with Traditional Medicine Board and have a minimum of 10 years experience, CNSQ 1. She also mentioned that if the above conditions are met, it is anticipated that the constitution of the board would ensure improved leadership, better decision making, and provide clarity of rules and responsibility. She also added that the recent advances in the field of traditional medicine have made it imperative that the chairman will not only be required to give strategic direction, but will also need to have a research-oriented background and a good knowledge of health system to efficiently manage the board and prepare it to the current thinking of integration and convergence of both orthodox and traditional medicine to tackle the health challenges in the sub-Saharan Africa countries in a bid to achieve universal health coverage. Observation. The committee observed that the Health Reform Law 2006 stipulates that the chairman of the Traditional Medicine Board must be a university graduate, registered with board, and have a minimum qualification of 10 years. Recommendation. The committee recommends that the forthcoming constitution of the Traditional Medicine Board, priority should be given to a member of the Association of Traditional Medicine Practitioner to be appointed as the chairman of the board in view of the fact that the association have members that are qualified university graduates with over 10 years over 10 years cognate experience in traditional medicine field as obtained in the law. Conclusion. The committee expresses its gratitude to Mr. Speaker and members for opportunity given to it to carry out the assignment. In the same vein, appreciation also goes to the Clerk of the House and Secretariat for their support at ensuring the timely completion of the assignment. Thank you. Honorable Sokunle, Chairman, House Committee on Health.
Honorable Olumo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I hereby move that the report be adopted for debate.
Honorable Tunde Bravo.
I second the motion as moved, Mr. Speaker.
All in favor say ayes. Those against the ayes have it. Honorable Council.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to congratulate the chairman for a good job. It's a direct report. But however, under the observation, I just have a slight correction that needs to be made. If you look at the last line there, that says registered with the board and have a minimum qualification. It's supposed to be experience of 10 years. So that's the only gray area. But aside that, I think it can actually be adopted as recommended. Thank you, sir.
Honorable
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support the motion.
You support the motion. Which motion?
He talked about his recommending for adoption for debate.
Honorable Tunde Bravo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, may I be allowed to thank the committee chairman especially for this very assiduous consideration of the petition. However, Mr. Speaker, I want us to note with concern the attitude of some people in certain places of authority to usurp legislative functions. The Parliament made a law, stated the qualification and requirements for being a board chairman, yet some people subverted and suppressed that law and interpreted it their own way. I'm surprised that the chairman is so lenient with them and is not saying anything about those who have consistently suppressed the will of the people. However, Mr. Speaker, I would have loved Mr. Chairman to include in his recommendations that whoever is appointing authority should desist from subverting or suppressing the express content of the law by appointing whoever they choose without following the letters of the law. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Kola.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also want to join in thanking the committee for a job well done. I want to observe that Dr. Mrs. Titilayo Gonclaves heard by even telling the committee that the main problem besetting the traditional medicine and limiting its development in Lagos is as a result of little or no research work. I want to ask, even when they appointed medical doctors different from what the law stipulated, what research or what value have they added? So it is disgusting that a law be passed by this parliament and some people will be willfully subverting it. I think now, more than ever before, we must stand our ground to tell whoever is there as head of any ministry to ensuring that the law passed is fully complied with. Any deviant should be punishable. That's my submission, sir.
Thank you. Honorable Jimmy Mohammed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable members. Just in line with the last two speakers, well, I think the submissions are very well in line. However, I just want to follow up with Honorable Braimo and the last speaker to say that what is in context of discourse right now is as to whether or not a priority should be given to members of the association. Both the PS and the submissions of Dr. Oshodi has said that they're not contesting the validity of what has been provided in sections 122A, that the chairman, who shall be a medical graduate, a university graduate, be registered with the Traditional Medicine Board with a minimum of 10 years experience. What I think is in context right now is that the chairman of the committee has resolved that the chairman would definitely have a 10 years experience, however, must belong to the association, which I believe is the resolve that they have come. I don't think the PS has said in any way whatsoever that they shouldn't follow the 10 years experience.
Honorable.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My colleague, good afternoon. Mr. Speaker, Mrs. Conclave has said the obvious, and when you look at section 122(1)(a), it didn't talk about just making the chairman to be a member of that association, but must. That's the word, must. So the committee has done a good job, but their recommendation should be slightly modified to say the entity saddled with the appointment of the board of the Traditional Medicine Board must adhere to the law passed by this House, which stipulated that whosoever will be the chairman must be a member of that traditional board. Because when you look at it, sir, Orthodox and traditional medicine, we know over the time that there is a lot of rivalry among them. We are Nigerians, and there are some ailments today that even Orthodox medical way of resolving it is still not feasible. But when you resorted back to traditional way, it is resolved. We are Africa, and we are proud of our medicine. In the area of research, measurement, and the likes, and you put an Orthodox medical doctor as the chairman of the board of traditional medicine, you know that they'll be suppressing the plans of the association. So in a nutshell, sir, I want to say that the recommendation has modified to stipulate that must, as against prioritize, should be adhered to. Thank you, sir.
Last, Honorable Michelle.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I must commend the committee for doing this work. I must also commend the association for writing this petition and bringing it to the notice of our House, because it is very surprising that this House can make a law and it is not adhered to. And now we wonder how many boards are out there that the laws made by this House are probably not being adhered to. I have a few questions for the chairman, and those questions would determine whether I want his recommendation amended further. One, is there a current chairman of the board? Two, is he or she registered with the association, or has he or she met section 1221A of the law? If not, then your recommendation should go further, stating that that should be taken care of. But I'll wait for him to answer that question. Also, the laws of Lagos State is 2015, not 2006. Thank you.
The chairman of the committee, do you have something?
Thank you, Honorable Isha. I think that's the all of the question is coming from you. Is there any chairman? There's no, currently, to my own understanding, the seat is vacant, to my own understanding. So, for now, I don't think there's anybody occupying that seat. The committee will still manage to do further investigation if there's any, but I'm sure there's nobody there as at present. And the second question will not stand again. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I think the purpose of this petition is to give backing to the provision of the law that establishes this board, that whosoever that will be the chairman of the board should be one of the practitioners. So adding to it that it must be a medical doctor and with 10 years cognate experience. It's also to elevate, the quality and standard of the practitioners, which I have nothing against, and we should ensure, because somebody who is on the other side would not understand the practice of these people. So if you don't have the experience or knowledge, there's no way you can supervise or monitor something that you lack the experience. But I think we just add one leg as rightly observed, and that will be addressed to the governor. Since a majority of appointments are being carried out by the governor, it's better we direct the resolve to the governor to ensure the compliance, of the provision of this law, so in appointing chairman of the board. So the leg here can stay. That will be one, and this one will be second leg of it. Chairman, is that okay? Okay, so
Thank you, sir.
Who is moving the vote? Honorable Castle.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I therefore move that the recommendation as amended be adopted as a resolution of the House.
Honorable Kolao.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I so second.
All in favor, say ayes. Those against, the ayes have it. Deputy Majority Leader.
Right Honorable Speaker, distinguished colleagues, after robust debate, I hereby move that this House revert back to plenary. I so move.
Honorable Tijani.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to second the motion as moved.
All in favor, say ayes. Those against, the ayes have it. Deputy Majority Leader.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. At the Committee of the Whole, we talk about giving priority to the member of the Association of Traditional Medicine Practitioners in the Traditional Medicine Board. We also talk about sanctioning any officers that does not obey the laws of this state. And we also talk about that they should adhere to the laws that are made in this House of Assembly. And we also talk about that we also resolve that we should direct our resolve to the governor, since he's the one that makes appointments. And we also talk about that the purpose of this petition is to give backing to the provisions of this law. I want to say that that was the true recap of what happened at the Committee of the Whole. Thank you, sir.
Honorable.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to affirm that the recap is true replica of what transpired at the Committee of the Whole.
Who is seconding? We are all on strike. Honorable Kolao.
I so second, sir. I so second, sir.
You have to come with full words. If you are introducing another dimension, this will be the second time you so second. So please second in the proper way.
Mr. Speaker, fellow colleagues, I second the motion, the
All
affirmation.
in favor, say ayes. Those against, the ayes have it. Mr. Clerk, kindly direct our resolve to Mr. Governor. Approach.
Right Honorable Speaker, distinguished colleagues, I have the approval of the Right Honorable Speaker to move that this House stands adjourned till 19th March 2020, Thursday, at 10 a.m. prompt. I so move.
Honorable Temitope Adewale.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise to second the motion as moved.
All in favor say ayes. Those against no. The ayes have it. This House stands adjourned till Thursday, 19 March 2020 at 10 a.m. prompt. I rise.